All right, welcome back to another episode of Book Eaters Podcast. Today, our episode is called Lost in Translation. We're going to be talking about books that have been translated from their original language into English. And to go along with this, made this cocktail. It's actually a classic rum cocktail because rum is our signature spirit this season.
The spirit of the season.
And it's called Jungle Bird, but because we're having a translation episode, I've translated, or Google has translated Jungle Bird into Jangurubado, which is my attempt at Japanese. So this drink is called Jangurubado, and it is dark rum, Campari, pineapple juice, lime juice, Demerara syrup, which is Demerara syrup, which is like
I don't know what it is.
Unrefined sugar.
Oh.
Sort of like a...
Is that healthy? Can I eat unrefined sugar?
Oh, it's so healthy. And I have a whole jar of it for you to take home because I'm doing low carb and I can't have the syrup. But I did make it. You could probably purchase it as well, but it's not hard to make. It's just equal parts of the sugar with the water cooked down. So we're going to put all of this into the shaker.
Wow.
This is enough for us each to have 2 drinks because they are a bit strong. All right.
Okay.
So, cheers. Let us imbibe on the Jangurubado.
To translations.
Oh, yeah. I like that. You do
It's good.
I love anything.
What happened to my cherry?
No comment.
I've lost my cherry. Like, I don't, like, legitimately, I don't know what happened to it.
Is it in your boobs?
It's not in my boob. Is it in the drink?
It's not on the floor.
Where the fuck did it go?
Well, let's just drink and carry on. And
Okay.
When the cherry is found, it'll be a celebration for us all. Although once lost, I've found
You never
it.
can find your cherry again.
So, maybe 2 years ago, I did read a book called The Murmur of Bees. And it was a beautiful book. You read it as well. Did you like it?
I did not.
You did not.
No. But I did read it as a recommendation that you gave me. Like, because you recommended it, I read it.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why
I feel accused. But so I did love it. I thought it was this beautiful book of magical realism. I was totally into it, but there were definitely big chunks of that book that did not translate well.
Yeah.
And whoever translated the book from Spanish into, you did better than I could do. But I just was like thinking, man, how much better would this be if I could read it in its original language?
Right.
And so that got me thinking about the books that I have read that were originally written in other languages and how I never even questioned it. And I thought it would be an interesting thing because I think even more so now, like a lot of the classics are definitely, there's, Russian writers,
Right.
Dostoevsky and there's a lot.
Kafka.
There's a lot of famous writers that were not English. But nowadays, how in modern day, you don't really get a lot of books from other languages that get translated, except for maybe like the Japanese who wrote Blind Willow, Haruki. Oh gosh, we should have researched this.
Oh wait,
Haruki Murakami. My Japanese is terrible, as evidenced by the name of this drink. But he did the IQ 24 and what are you looking at?
Nothing. I am looking up a book that I read about. I thought the name sounded familiar to that, but I can't remember what it was called. But I don't think that it was a translation.
Well, the only modern, I do know that I read, obviously, Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. It's been huge. They've even made that into a movie series.
Right.
A man called Uwe.
Oh, I hear they're making a movie out of that as well.
And that, and so that one's been translated recently. But otherwise, other than UK to English, I don't.
I know that all the books that I follow, on Twitter and stuff, I see that other people from other countries will get them in their languages. And I see that they have different covers than we have. And things are different.
But what's coming into the U.S.?
But that we get, I think,
Well, I researched it.
Oh, you did? What did you find out?
Only about 3% of all books published in the US are works in translation.
Well, that checks out.
Compare that to Italy, and it's over 50%.
Mm.
What does it mean?
It just means that we silo ourselves in America. And the market's pretty saturated. We have a lot of writers.
Well, I did a little more
Oh,
digging,
nice.
and the way American publishing companies are set up, it does not support looking for foreign writers. So we don't actively seek them out, and it's the US is unique in that
Mm-hmm.
because in other countries there's like an actual like job like assignment to read and evaluate manuscripts in English to see if they would work in other languages. So
Oh,
it's only in the US that we don't make that a priority in our publishing houses.
wow.
Which America is very egocentric,
I
100%.
mean,
You're
also
right.
we are very like siloed, you know?
But do you think that it could be because we're the melting pot and we already have so many American writers that do share experiences from where they immigrated from? You know, we have a lot of Irish American writers. We have a lot of, you know, like the Kite Runner. You know, that wasn't originally written in Arabic. I don't think we should look at that before we.
I think we just have so much, with like an embarrassment of riches. And I think that we silo ourselves. Like there's a very American first attitude. Like it's a nationalism is a huge thing in the U.S. I mean, I'm from a military family and an army background. Nationalism is a big thing. Like buy America first, American pride, that sort of thing is very, very big in America. And so I think people look to American things. And also our culture is, I mean, I always feel this way about American culture that we don't have a culture of our own, that all of our culture is stolen from other cultures. Like there are a couple of things, of course, that are American, right? Like uh
Apple pie.
tea bags. I don't think apple pie is only American. I think pretty sure
Yeah, we
somebody made
brought
apple
that.
pie somewhere.
Hot dogs.
Hot dogs or
Nope.
corn dogs. Corn dogs are very American fried things. There's not a whole lot that we have that's ours. Almost everything that Americans consume is from a different culture.
Because all Americans are immigrants
So
except for Native
except for
Americans.
Native Americans, right? And and I think that because of that, there's like this weird sort of energy around nationalism and trying to like create our own culture that comes from us and not from other places. And maybe that's why. I don't think that it's healthy.
I
I don't
don't.
think that it's good, but I think maybe that could be part of it.
I never. That could be part of it, and I never considered that. I always just assumed that we were resting on our laurels in that. Oh, we already get so many people here with different backgrounds and coming from different cultures. We don't need to seek it out beyond our borders.
I mean, I think also we've had a problem with seeking out minority voices for decades, even in the US amongst our own citizens, and we're just now
But I don't.
starting to really reach out
I
to
don't think
other
that
groups.
other hearing books in other languages are necessarily minorities.
No, no, but it's something different than what we, like the status quo.
Yes,
Do you
I
know what I'm saying?
think
Like
yes. I
I'm
know
not.
this from Facebook and being on different groups where people from different countries are in the group. Like I have a crochet group and I have a group for recipes, and somebody will say something and it's automatically assumed to be like American. And we're like, no, no. In England, they say courgette, not zucchini. So we
Right.
always assume that whatever we read or whatever we see is supposed to be a reflection of the United States. It never even enters our mind that the voice could be from another country. We just go straight to, oh, that's not how you spell that word. Or
Right.
that's not the correct term.
Right.
Well, that may be what you say in the US, but I'm from Australia.
Right.
And then it just, and I'm guilty of it myself. Like, we are insulated.
For
And
sure.
so yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem, which is why I'm trying to actively make the attempt to read books from other countries. What I'm finding though is that just like when we talk about audiobooks and so much is reliant upon the narrator,
Right.
so much is reliant upon the
Even
translator.
more
And if
than
they don't do a
yeah.
good job, you may have. So I just really feel like I need to learn all the languages in the world.
I think that that's another thing that Americans don't do that other countries do. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're so landlocked. Like we have the Canadians and the Mexicans, and then that's really it on the soil next to us. Whereas other countries, they learn more than one language. You know what I mean? I feel like in America, we know English,
Yep.
and that's the only language that we know.
Yeah, and you
Like,
don't even get encouraged to learn another language till
yeah,
high school.
in high school you do. In college, you're supposed to take it.
But the time to learn is when you're young.
Right? It's not really I mean, I guess people who are bilingual make a little bit extra in the workforce, but really there's no incentive. And there's no people to practice with. That's the other thing, right? It's one thing to learn a language, it's another thing to use it. If you learn a language and never use it, you're going to lose it, you know?
Yeah.
I think that if you live in France and you speak French, you may have an opportunity to meet someone else in Europe that speaks German or English, you know?
But if you are a person that speaks multiple languages
Right.
and you have a love of words, what could be better than being a book translator?
I mean, that would be cool. It'd be a lot of responsibility, though.
I would be ready. The only thing holding me back
Yeah.
is the fact that I only speak one language.
Well, I mean, you could just get on it and learn another one.
But I feel like you'd have to read. Okay, so if you got the assignment, and I do mean assignment with a capital A. If someone gave you a book and said, "I need you to," assume that you did speak another language.
Okay.
Do you speak another language?
I know a little sign language,
Yeah, that's not going to work for a
ASL,
book.
but it doesn't really help me with books. I can understand some German and I can understand some Spanish, but it's very
I bet we're opposites because when I was in
random.
school, I had a much easier time learning to write and read French because I
Yeah.
studied French than to speak it because I don't have the tongue. You know, I'm very
Oh.
bad at accents but the like grammar and shit, I could do that easily.
See, like, remember before when I was talking about how part of the problem is that you're not around people who speak other languages? Does not apply to me because I lived in Germany for 4 years and I was around people who spoke German, and I lived in Arizona
Mm-hmm.
for 40 years and I was around a lot of people who spoke Spanish. So I think because of those two things, I have more of like an ear for it. Like I can kind of understand what different like words mean because I picked it up
Mm-hmm.
from just being around. But I think I wish I'd learned Spanish. I wish I'd learned
I'm so
Spanish
surprised that you don't.
instead of sign language. I know.
I know mi esposo es muerto.
Your spouse is green? What did you say?
Mi esposo es muerto.
Is muerto? Dead?
Yeah.
Your
My
husband is
husband
dead?
is dead. ¿Dónde está la mesa? Mi esposo es muerto.
Where is the table? My husband is dead?
I don't know. I'm just trying to like put a story together with the few terms that I know. El
Oh,
baño?
that's the bathroom. I know that one. I know basura, baño.
I can say no, I wish I could roll my R's, but I can't. But I do know from my job, no respire.
So when I was in school,
Respire.
they taught us R con R sin carro.
See, you
R
have
con R correr.
if
So they would learn the R's.
Michelle,
But I don't know
R's,
I don't know what the words mean.
if I could roll my R's like that and do an accent like that, I for sure would learn every language. I just know what I sound like.
You could do it.
Donde está la mesa? That's what I sound like.
No.
Taisez-vous? Donde?
Taisez-vous?
Donnez-moi le papier.
What are you saying right now?
That's French. Give me the papers.
I just remember
I don't know.
French. I know what is it? I was trying to remember. We did this play in high school where there was a French maid. It was very stereotypical and incredibly, terrible. But she would say "Je t'adore" to one of the je t'adore, which means I adore you. And he would say, but the door is shut. So you totally reminded me of
that just made me remember my friend Tommy from high school. It's not going to translate to the podcast, so we'll edit it out. But he would look at you from across like a very crowded room.
Mm-hmm.
You make intense eye contact,
mm-hmm.
and you can't hear what he's saying, but he would mouth the words.
Olive juice.
Olive juice.
That's another theater trick, olive juice.
Well, it gave me the tinglies until I realized what he was actually saying.
Oh.
And now I can't cook with olive oil to save my life. And I hate martinis.
That's why you're always trying to cook with sesame oil.
I
All makes
do.
perfect sense
I
now.
do love to cook with sesame oil. I really do. And I would like to make you tiger bread.
I would like to eat tiger bread.
Okay. I'm going to make it and then you're going to come and eat it.
Okay.
But in the meantime, the assignment. First, if you were going to translate a book back to its original language, what would it be?
I mean, I feel like it needs to be a language that not everybody understood and read, so that it wouldn't be like widely criticized. And I feel like I like to have some sort of like weird, cool, ancient language that I could learn so that I could decipher like treasure on a wall somewhere, like in that movie I just saw with Sandra Bullock, where she like translated the paper so that she could get to the treasure with Channing Tatum. I'd like to dance with Channing Tatum. That was a lovely scene.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I mean, if I could learn to translate something, it would be that, and then I could dance with Channing Tatum. And that's all I want to do with Channing Tatum, to be clear, but that'd be nice.
So, you need to catch up.
What are you talking about? There's the cherry. It's inside the drink.
Are you not a fan of Campari?
Is that the black grocer's thing? No.
It's got a little bit of that.
Like anise kind of feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually not bad. I like the drink.
Like I love a Negroni.
I was just trying to sip it, to slow it down, to like take the time.
I can't, and I need you to be with me at all times.
Okay.
Okay, so if you were going to translate a book,
okay,
what do you think would be the order of business?
Learn the language.
Assuming you already knew the language.
Read the book.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple times.
Exactly. I've spent a lot of time thinking about it. You would have to read that book as many times as the author edited it.
I mean, that's not possible. But I would also want to talk to the author and get a feel for what was important to them, what the important parts of the story were.
Right. Because so much is lost in translation because there are certain idioms that will not translate,
sign language has idioms as well. I'm just saying, yeah.
Like what?
Like this is train gone, which means like if like you were having a conversation and I were to walk up and be like, hey, what's going on? You'd be like, train gone. You missed it. It's too late.
Too late.
We're not recovering it for you. Yeah. So there's idioms in every language. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's cute. I didn't know that. Yeah. I worked with a lady named Ingrid who was from Germany. I didn't really work with her. I was a student and she was my preceptor.
We've had stories about Ingrid before on the podcast.
Well, she made a mark.
Yeah.
I can't even remember her last name, but if you are out there in the world, Ingrid, somehow listening to a obscure podcast that no one listens to except for our family and friends.
What? No.
And you used to, work as a nuclear medicine technologist in the late 90s in Carrollton, Georgia, and I'm sure you're retired. You made an impact. A lot of people didn't like her because she was very brusque.
That's right.
But she did tell me about a phrase that it has just really stuck with me, and it was, I can't say the German, obviously, because first it's been almost 30 years.
Right.
But also
you
I
have trouble with
German.
The accents, yeah.
And I don't speak German. But it was talking through the flowers, and that means that you sugarcoat it.
So I remember a friend of mine.
That would not directly translate. You'd have to find a similar English phrase.
My friend Cece, she was telling me when she was a manager and she had employees that reported her, and she would ask them, how would you like to receive feedback? And someone said to her, with a spoonful of sugar. Right? So like, give me the feedback straight. Let's sweeten it up a bit, which is kind of similar. Like you sort of give the feedback.
How do you like your feedback?
I kind of like the shit sandwich approach, right? So tell me something nice, give me the bad shit, and then something nice at the end, sort of.
I want it straight, no chaser.
Oh, no. I need a chaser.
I need to know it as bad as it could possibly be. So I know it can't get worse. Okay, so back to the job of being the translator. I feel like bilingual people have a rare opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're not translating it, if you could just have the capacity to read the same book in both languages, I mean, if I could do that, I would pick like a book that I 100% love, and I would get it in English, and I would get it into this imaginary language that I also spoke, and I would have a notebook, and I would have a highlighter in like
Do you
4 colors.
do you think it'd be like how people get when they watch a movie on like when they make it into a movie and they're like super mad.
Yes.
They're like, this is not how it's
Yes.
supposed to go.
Yes.
It's supposed to be blah blah blah.
I also have a theory wherein, if you think about songs that are super popular and have been covered by many people,
Yeah.
I hypothesize that you always love the version that you heard first. So I think whichever language you read the book in first and loved would remain your favorite. Because if you read it in the substandard language, then you wouldn't love it as much. So
Yeah.
you're never going to love it as more. But I don't know
Although
if there's any bilingual listeners
to
out
be
there.
clear, if I could read in the language it was originally written, that is how I would want to read it. I would never like
Yes.
choose the English version
Yes.
if I could understand on the same level the Spanish version, unless
What if
there
you were
wasn't an audiobook available in like the Spanish or the German version, in which case I might still go with English because I'm lazy and I like to be read to.
a bilingual person and the first original language was not your original language, it was your second language? Maybe you would prefer it in your original language.
I think it would depend on what kind of book it is. Like a
Man, we're going
fiction
so
book,
deep.
probably not, right? A fiction book probably has a lot of language that's specific. Like sometimes those writers, The Murmur of Bees, for example, that's the kind of book where the language is an important part of it. It's not just the story, but it's the way that the story is told.
Right.
I mean, not a lot happens in the story. I mean, a lot happens in the story, but it's like weird how it happens and it's strange. And so, like, I think a book like that would be better to read in the original context because I think maybe the language would pull out some stuff that I'm missing in the translated version. But like a sci-fi book,
There's no reference point anyway.
or like a nonfiction book where it's like teaching me about leadership or gardening, it's probably okay.
So it's the art.
I mean, I think it depends on the artistic value in the book itself, right? Like how much is that weighted in the novel?
But the beauty of it too is, and I feel like this is why we should seek out books written by foreign writers,
Right.
is that it teaches you about other cultures, other
Sure.
perspectives, but in a super cash way. That's not the agenda of it.
Right.
Right.
It's tough when that's the agenda. Because
Right.
then you're like, it's in your face. Like this is the agenda of the book.
Yeah, if it's like, yeah, exactly. Like if it's written originally in English about another culture, it's to teach you about the other culture. Whereas if it's just written in its original language and you happen to learn things about the culture, I feel like that's more authentic because it's organic and it's like not contrived.
I think it's
It's
different.
just a backdrop.
Sometimes books, though, that are American are written about American citizens who are of that culture. And I feel like in that case, it's sort of like a subplot. Like the main plot is not about the culture, but the culture does play a part into I'm thinking of Cemetery Boys.
Hmm.
I don't know if you read that book,
I
but
haven't.
it's very like Dia de la Suerta heavy. There's like all of this.
I can't get past the rolling of the R's.
There's all of this
Shaw.
like dead like the dead relatives thing that and the culture the machismo culture, like all that stuff is sort of part of the story, but I don't think that's the point of the story. Like the point of the story is more about the what's happening with the characters.
Hmm.
But there is a very Hispanic, maybe an American Hispanic underlying vibe in the story.
One thing that I feel like everyone would agree with reading fiction is that it transports you to another place. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Imagine how magnified that is if you're transported to another country, not through some means of the plot, but through the actual intent of the author.
Right. So like you're there, you're in like, the vineyards in
Yeah, like
Italy because that's where the plot or the story takes place.
yeah, I can't remember the book that I read recently, but it was about this mother, and she was married to like some guy who was somewhat a low-level politician and was doing pretty well, and she had these 2 daughters, but the big thing was there was this tree in their yard that was poisonous, and they had this girl from the ghetto / gulag / slums. It's all the same thing depending on the language.
I don't know the book you're referring to.
I can't remember it either right now, but that was a flawed book that also had some translation issues.
Right.
But there was the backdrop of it was all of this stuff that was going on with the cartels that I wouldn't have known if I hadn't read that book. And I Googled it and I went to Wikipedia. Same thing with Murmur of Bees, like all of in Mexico with them driving people off of their land and these Comanches or whatever they were called taking over.
Very Encanto.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I just made that connection. So, but it's done not in a virtue signaling, not in a, it's just there and it makes you naturally curious about it.
That's cool.
I also think it teaches you to be curious about other cultures. And, in the U.S. at least, I feel like xenophobia is a real
it's an issue
thing, and this could be a way to combat it.
Yeah.
So I hope we can get away from the 3%,
Yeah. I've read a lot, like recently I read a lot of books that took place in Japan, but I think that they were written by American authors. I'm 100%. One of them was like some random white guy. And I was like, why is he writing this book? And it was like the retelling of like Japanese folklore.
If Iris is here, she would Google this for me. But there is a writer.
Iris, we miss you.
That I always assumed was Japanese, but he's not. He's actually British.
Oh.
Irishi. Anyway, he wrote that book.
What
about
book?
Something away. Anyways, it's clones. It was a beautiful book.
About clones?
Irigashi.
Oh, like the sci-fi guy.
Yeah. Okay, put this in Google and see if it comes up.
Okay.
Clones.
Clones?
Uh-huh.
Japanese
writer, even though he's not Japanese. He's English.
Japanese singer clones?
No.
I think I just spelled Japanese wrong.
They made a movie about it.
What was the movie about?
The clones. I think he also wrote Remains of the Day. Who wrote that?
Kosho
Ishiguro? Yes. I loved him and thought I was like...
Never Let Me Go?
Never Let Me Go, that's the one. But he also wrote Remains of the Day, which it's like, he's very versatile. What is his name?
Kazuo Ishiguro?
Ishiguro. Yeah, I can't say it because
know.
I'm an ignorant American. But I always assumed he was Japanese, and obviously he's not.
Yeah, but you know what's funny is those Sherlock Holmes books that we love so much.
Mm-hmm.
She's not.
Sherry Thomas?
Sherry Thomas is not an American.
Is she English?
No, she's not. Like I Googled her and I was like, okay. Like I don't even think English is her first language. Hold on.
Sherry Thomas. If you listen to this podcast, and I'm sure you do.
She's an American novelist.
Oh.
Of a young adult historic romance contemporary.
Well, that checks out because most.
But she was born in China. That's probably where I got that from.
Yeah, but she was probably like an army brat, so she's not. She was there for like 2 months and left.
Maybe.
Man, I'm just assuming some shit about her.
I mean, maybe not.
That's Sherry Thomas?
That's Sherry Thomas.
Wow, she does not look like Sherry Thomas, and that's fine that we say that because honestly, if you see the name Sherry Thomas, you would assume that she would be a short-cropped blonde lady living in the Midwest.
But I feel like I read somewhere that her first language wasn't English, and I was like, what? Where did I read that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you learn 2, 3, 4 languages at a young age, you could write in any of them. And I would be so curious to know what your preference would be,
She is an American. She went to Louisiana State University.
Because you would have this facility with each language equally. And so then it would just be about which words
she came here and
have
she was
the most beauty and which, lilt and cadence of narrative drew the most. And I will never know that, Michelle.
She moved here when she was 13. What?
I'll never know.
You'll never know what?
I'll never know if another language.
Do find out.
No, it's too late.
It's not too late.
No, because you always prefer the one that you heard the first.
That's not always true, though. There are some songs that I
No,
like.
I've been cheated. And if you are a person that can read with equal facility in 2 or more languages, God bless you. And also, fuck you.
Jesus. April, you know we have friends that are bilingual, right? Yeah.
Do I need to rein it in?
No.
You want to drink some more?
Yeah. I'm empty. You saved me a drop.
It just pours though.
Kind of sounds like someone's peeing. It's not me peeing, guys. It's definitely the drink.
Okay.
Okay. So April.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sherry Thomas, I was just looking at her Wikipedia page and it looks like she learned to speak English by using a Chinese to English book.
What?
To translate a romance novel.
What?
Which means this is what you should do. I'm going to challenge you.
Oh, shit.
To find a book written in another language and read it using a book that translates that language to English. Just like Sherry Thomas did. I think you could do it.
Was she almost 50 years old?
No, she was 13.
Exactly.
But I think you could do it. I think that you could do it, and I think that you'd be amazing at it.
I have a full-time job.
I mean, me too.
And a podcast.
That's true.
And I'm getting a puppy.
And you're getting married.
And I'm getting married. There's a lot on my plate right now. But maybe a kid's book.
Maybe a small
one.
Like
Goodnight Moon.
But one that's written in another language that you don't already speak.
I've never researched that. I've never researched children's books in other languages.
There you go.
What do you think is the most beautiful language?
Of all of the languages? Wow. I really like the way French sounds, but I'm also kind of obsessed with the Latin languages and more so Portuguese than Spanish.
But I feel like Italian.
Oh, Italian is lovely as well. It is.
So I'm going to research
Italian. Makes me hungry, though.
I'm going to research Italian children's books.
Okay.
I'm going to work really hard in about 4 years.
Okay.
Because here's something funny. When Madeline was either a junior or senior in high school, she gave me an assignment that I still haven't finished. And that was to sing for her Ave Maria in its original German.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, what kind of teenager brings that? Like, Mom, if you love me.
It?
No, I have never done it because I don't have a tongue for languages.
You could do it. I believe in you. You have a beautiful singing voice as well.
In German?
Sure. German is actually quite lovely.
Is it?
I think so. I mean, I know it gets a lot of crap because of the consonants. There's a lot of consonants, which are tough, but it's not as sexy as a vowel. But I think it's beautiful.
I mean, if you'd grown up with it, it would just be instinctive.
But anything that you don't know can be daunting.
Yeah, 100%.
But you just take bite sizes of it eventually.
The whole time you take a bite of a language.
Sure. I mean, you have already.
No, you either have to dive in or leave it alone.
You have already. Like, you know sayings in French. Je t'adore. You know sayings in Spanish. La cucaracha.
Ferme la bouche.
You know, mi esposa es muerta. You know those kinds of... Jagurubado. You know the different, like, slices of languages. Like, I can swear in several languages, right? But... Huh?
That's the only cuss word I know.
What is it?
That language. Merde.
What does merde mean?
I mean shit in French. But I only know that from reading.
So in German, it's Scheißer.
What does that mean?
Shit.
Oh.
You can call someone a Scheißerkopf, which is a shithead. Scheißerkopf. I'm just saying, like...
I can say, tu vas en cour noir.
What is that?
I hope, and if you were a French speaker, you would recognize it as meaning you have a black heart.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is you know little slices of those languages. Like, do you know any slices of Chinese or Tagalog?
No.
Because I do not.
I know arigato. I know.
Right? And it's beautiful to you. Like, there's nothing weird about that because you know it. It's really about learning and knowing something. And then once you do learn it and know it, then it's not weird.
But if
it's not ugly.
Hopefully cut
it's familiar.
Because it does, I hope we cut this. But like if I listen to Chinese singers.
Yeah.
I don't find that appealing. It's shrieky. It's very shrieky.
Because you don't know what they're saying. Because you don't recognize it.
No, I mean, when I was a ninth grader and I heard Italian opera for the first time, I didn't know what they were saying, but I knew I wanted to know. And so I went to my media specialist, Mr. Dale Lyles, and I said, I'm super into La Traviata right now. I wish I knew what they were saying. And he gave me the translation.
I gotta be honest with you, I love to hear American music in a different language.
Like what?
Like anything. Like they're just like listening to music and then it's an American song but in a different language.
No.
That's fantastic.
I want to experience.
You should totally Google it. Just Google like any of your favorite songs and then in whatever language. And a lot of times those maybe it's because my boyfriend is a karaoke host. I have access to these kinds of things, but seriously, it's amazing.
I do have a song that I feel like is a skeleton key.
Oh.
The artist and the way that they're able to interpret a song. And it's Dark End of the Street.
I don't know it. Can you hum a few bars?
Oh, yeah, you bet I can. It's a simple melody.
Right.
So you really can infuse it with like your art. And so it's sort of like when the chefs say, make me an egg and I'll know how good you are. Sing me Dark End of the Street and I'll know how good you are.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite way that you make eggs?
Mm-hmm.
How do you like your eggs? I only ask this because in Runaway Bride, have you seen this movie with Julia Roberts? Like it was like a crux of the movie was like she would always like choose to make her eggs the way that her significant other did. And like at the end of the movie, she's like, no, this is how I like my eggs. And I've thought long and hard about that. I'm like, how do I like my eggs? But I'll save that. You tell me how you like your eggs.
I like my eggs poached.
Oh.
And I don't order them that way in a restaurant.
Why?
Because it's labor intensive. But it's the perfect combination of a boiled egg and a fried egg.
You know
it's the best. It's the best.
You know what my favorite eggs are? Deviled. I like a deviled egg. I'm not kidding. That's my favorite.
But I mean, you can't. So when they were like, how do you like your eggs? You can't say deviled.
I can absolutely say that because that's how I like my eggs. I have thought about it. Now, to be fair, I don't make deviled eggs very often. I only really make them for potlucks, random nonsense. But like when I'm making it for myself, it's either scrambled, over hard, or over easy. Like those are the three ways I make eggs. But I do also like a poached egg occasionally. I like the hollandaise sauce with the egg. That's good too. But mostly, I like a deviled egg.
Nate has recently taught me how to make a French omelet.
Oh, and I do not like an omelet.
Well, I'm not a huge omelet person either, but a French omelet is totally different than an American omelet.
What's a French omelet?
It's basically like soft scrambled eggs, but held together in an envelope.
So what you're saying is that the translation from English to French
is very different.
Of an omelet is different.
Very, very different.
Got you.
Oh, I recently read about a really cool way to make eggs from like one of my old cookbooks. I want to make it, but I don't know anybody that would eat it.
Well, how is it?
They're called goldenrod eggs. And what you do is you take the egg and you boil it.
Right.
Okay? And then you separate it like you would for a deviled egg.
Okay.
You keep the yolks separate.
Right.
The egg whites.
Okay.
You chop them up. Right? Almost like you're making an egg salad, but you're not. You're not going to do that. Then you're going to make like a bechamel sauce, white sauce with butter and flour and milk.
Uh-huh.
And then you're going to add the egg whites, chopped egg whites to that. So it's like a gravy with chopped egg whites in it.
Oh.
Then you pour that over toast.
Ooh.
And then the leftover yolks, you push that through a fine sieve so it makes like a dusting of egg yolk.
Oh.
And it looks like a goldenrod flower.
Jesus.
And that's a goldenrod egg.
That sounds fantastic.
I would love to make that for somebody.
I would love to eat that.
Let it be done.
Nice. So back to translation. Now that we've made that detour into eggs.
I just really want to make those, but I don't know anybody that will eat them.
Why wouldn't anyone eat them? Everyone would
Nate's
eat them.
like, that's bullshit.
I don't know, dude. It sounds delicious.
Nate's like, that's a lot of pomp and circumstance. I'd rather just have a boiled egg.
I mean, that's true. That is a lot to do. Much ado about yolks.
All right, so here's the bookend.
Okay, the bookend.
I'm going to give you
okay
the name of a famous book.
Okay.
As it was presented in other countries.
Okay.
And you try to give me the an English version of that title.
And you're cool with me not knowing any of these, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. That's good, because I'm not going to know them.
A Man Without Scruples.
Man Without Scruples. That's the American version? Or
No, that's the foreign version. It's actually Swedish.
Swedish, A Man Without Scruples.
1920s.
Stupid Chap.
No, I mean, you would know the title in English.
Oh, I would know what it is.
The Great
Escape.
Gatsby.
The Great Gatsby.
Yes.
I read The Great Gatsby.
Okay, so that's what we're doing. I'm going to give you the foreign title.
Right.
And you will
The Great Gatsby is written in English.
Right. That's what you're going to give me is the English.
It was always written in English. That's not been translated.
Right, but it was translated into Sweden, and the Swedish gave it the title of A Man Without Scruples.
All right, I'm following you now.
Okay,
I'm like, wait a second. That is a book that I read, but it was always English. It was never in another. I was like, all right. Okay. I thought we were going like Metamorphosis or like Les Miserables or something like that, like something that was written in like another.
No, all of the titles that you're guessing will be the English titles that you should be familiar with.
Okay.
I'm going to preface with a little clue because
I'm drunk.
These are hard.
And they're hard.
Okay, so this is a more modern book by a very popular young adult author.
Okay, it's YA.
Okay. But not fiction, not fantasy.
Not fantasy, which is why it's fine.
Mm-hmm. The world is not a factory fulfilling wishes.
The world is not a factory fulfilling wishes.
That's how it was translated in Macedonia.
Is it The Monkey's Paw?
That's not a modern YA.
It's also not YA, but it is about wishes.
Think harder.
Okay.
This would be, I'll just tell you, John Green.
Oh, I don't know anything about fucking John Green.
They made a movie of this.
His books are terrible.
The world is not a factory fulfilling wishes. That's what the Macedonians.
Do you know my dad's name is John Green? It was.
Really?
Yeah. John Green has a lot of like tendrils. Remember in that movie where he had the tattoos everywhere and he was like, the movie went backwards and he was trying to kill John Green? And he was killing all the John Greens. You know what I'm talking about? The movie it started from the end and went to the beginning of the movie and he had like tattoos. Are you talking about Memento? Memento, yeah.
I love that movie.
He was trying to kill John Green the whole time. He was trying to kill my dad the entire time.
It wasn't tattoos though. He just wrote on himself with a pen.
Okay, whatever.
I haven't seen it in 20 years. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't remember, but what I'm saying is he was trying to kill my dad and it was not cool. All right, so
it's The Fault in Our Stars.
The Fault in Our Stars. I was thinking of that film. I read it. I mean, the book. No, I didn't read the book. I watched the movie and it's very sad. I cried.
Yeah.
I cried a lot.
Mm-hmm. It was sad.
It was mean.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
This one I feel like is easy.
Okay.
It's Japanese.
Okay.
Translated back into English would be The Angry Raisins.
The Angry Raisins? Raisin in the Sun?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was a great guess, though.
The Angry Raisins.
The Angry Raisins.
Grapes of Wrath?
Oh, you got it.
I got one. Woo-hoo! Grapes of Wrath.
The Angry Raisins. Okay. In Hungarian.
Okay.
Bridge to the Afterlife.
Bridge to Terabithia?
You got it.
All right.
This one cracks me up. It's French, and it does have an exclamation point at the end.
Oh.
That cracks me up. And it's animals everywhere.
Animal Farm?
Yep.
Animals everywhere.
Everywhere.
Exclamation mark.
With an exclamation point. Okay, this is Russian.
Okay.
Over the Abyss in Rye.
In Rye?
Rye.
Is it a pastrami? No.
Over the Abyss in Rye.
Weeds of Grass. No.
Do you even know that book?
What? Weeds of Grass?
Weeds of Grass.
It's a poem. Isn't it a poem?
I have no idea.
Weeds of Grass, my ass. No, it's Leaves of Grass. It's a poem, Leaves of Grass.
It's a very famous coming of age book.
What is it?
In the U.S. Over the Abyss in Rye.
Catcher in the Rye?
Yep. You're doing great.
Oh.
Okay, this one's great. German.
German.
Who disturbs a nightingale?
Who disturbs the nightingale? Oh, fuck. Me? I disturb the nightingale? I don't know. Disturbs the nightingale. I feel like as soon as you tell me, I'm going to be like, oh, yeah. But
I will tell you that they changed the name of the bird. It's not originally a nightingale, but it was prettier in German.
Someone flew over the cuckoo's nest?
Nope.
Nightingale was prettier in German
Mm-hmm.
than the bird.
Mm-hmm. Mockingbird.
Mockingbird. To kill a mockingbird.
Yep. Who disturbs a nightingale?
Who? To kill a mockingbird. See, what I'm talking about? Germans are so kind.
It
It goes from kill to disturbs.
Okay, I'm going to abandon this.
Oh, shit. You're just abandoning it.
Yep. Yeah, we haven't talked about movies that were translated.
Oh. I like a film with subtitles. I'm down with that. If it's
I
good.
don't like it.
If it's good, I'll watch it.
I don't like it because you're too busy reading it and you can't really enjoy the acting.
I like it if it's in its original language. I don't like it dubbed. I prefer subtitles to dubbed.
No, I'd rather have it dubbed.
Yeah, the opposite. I want to hear the language.
Yeah, but then you're busy reading the bottom of the screen. You're not seeing the facial expressions and the body language and the...
Somehow I manage.
Oh, somehow she manages. And you know what else we've managed?
What?
Another episode of Book Eaters.
So until next time, eat the books, motherfucker.
That's pretty good, isn't it?